Dear participants and auditory, I'm welcoming you to online session Local Resilience in Bosnia and Herzegovina. My name is Dragan Ličanin. I'm UNDRR Coordination and Project Support Specialist for Bosnia and Herzegovina. Today we have our guest, Mr. Alen Zajmovic, DRR Joint Program Coordinator at UNBIH, Bosnia and Herzegovina, who is working on joint Swiss UN program disaster risk reduction for sustainable development in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Before we start with our conversation, we will hear a message from Ms. Ingrid McDonald, United Nations Resident Coordinator in Bosnia and Herzegovina, on UN efforts in area of DRR and resilience building in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
In 2014, the people of Bosnia and Herzegovina suffered the worst devastating floods in recorded history. Today, landslide floods and forest fires are increasingly a constant threat. Out of 145 local authorities, 91 are rated as being at very significant risk from floods and landslides, whilst 27 are at high risk. The COVID-19 pandemic has also highlighted the weak crisis management links. Yet we know that successfully managing disasters and climate crisis risks requires multi-sectorial collaboration and a whole-of-government approach. So in Bosnia and Herzegovina, 5 United Nations agencies, together with the support of the government of Switzerland and working hand in hand with local authorities as part of a joint disaster risk reduction program. We are modelling disaster risk reduction collaboration mechanisms in 10 local communities that are prone to disaster. We are supporting the strengthening of preparedness and prevention systems, which can be scaled up and replicated right across the country. Ultimately, we are providing local stakeholders with the space to openly discuss and define disaster risk reduction related actions, which in turn increases ownership of the process at the community level and gives voices to those who are most vulnerable.
Like I said in the beginning, I'm pleased to welcome Mr. Alen Zajmovic, DRR Joint Program Coordinator at UN, working on joint Swiss UN program disaster risk reduction for sustainable development in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Hello, Mr. Zajmovic.
Hello, Dragan. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, dear Mr. Zajmovic, can you tell us more about joint Swiss UN program disaster risk reduction for sustainable development in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and what are the activities, especially when we are talking about improving resilience of local communities in Bosnia and Herzegovina?
Yes. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak about the program. I'm very glad to share some of our experiences when it comes to DRR in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We all may know that floods from 2014 somehow accelerated DRR activities in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and this is natural follow-up after the country's affected or being devastated with the damages around $1.7 billion with economic losses which exceeded over 1.5 billion. We've seen that some urgent actions are needed to first of all to understand DRR in general, but also to define exact activities when it comes to intervention, in terms of intervention in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So the program that we are implementing here it started in 2019, and throughout its first phase, our task is to work more with the local communities in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We've seen in past period that some of institutions at the higher levels in Bosnia and Herzegovina had a chance, had a platform, or had a let's say space for discussion when it comes to DRR regarding different kind of actions in general. But those bodies that were established before were not functional and still are not functioning in a way that it should be. So throughout the support of Swiss government here and 5 UN agencies in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we are implementing the program in 10 local communities. here 5 in Republika Srpska and 5 in Federation Bosnia and Herzegovina, in a way that we want to promote the model of preparedness and prevention system at the local level. As you may see, our interventions is mostly based at the local level, with the potential of wider horizontal scaling up countrywide. So what is the, let's say, in a nutshell, the program here is to improve capacities of our local platforms here. So in a way, we've established, or we supported establishing 10 DRR local platforms in Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is the start to initiate different kind of actions when it comes to DRR here. So we've seen in the past that the most of municipalities here are lacking with a multi-sectoral approach in DRR. So we tried to through the promotion of this model just to shift away from understanding of DRR. It's only the civil protection obligation, but also to lean to other sectors as well. So we've expanded our intervention here, involved, or better to say involved, other sectors such as social and child protection, health, education, and agriculture sector. So in a way to jointly identify priorities and actions needed to improve DRR planning and measures implementing in all these 10 local communities. So when it comes to our intervention so far here, we've supported our partners, more than 140 people in the local communities, to better understand DRR when it comes to their local communities, when it comes to their local actions, when it comes to risk preparedness and risk assessments at the beginning, but also to through that risk assessment, through that let's say consolidated risk assessment document, better to plan their actions in terms of integrating or mainstreaming DRR into local development strategies. So throughout different capacity building opportunities, we provided them different trainings, different let's say different tools, how to deal with with the upcoming let's say challenges when it comes to DRR here.
Thank you. This is very interesting. Well, what are in your opinion, tell us what are the shortcomings in the field of resilience building and disaster risk reduction in local communities, and how they can be improved?
Well, when it comes to resilience building, we've seen that throughout our initial action in local communities, we've seen that understanding of DRR is much less that we expected, especially after the floods in 2014. We've somehow seen through our partners and not only at the local level, but also at higher levels, that DRR is still stick to the civil protection, not having sufficient coordination and communication horizontally and vertically. So this is something that we've seen as a challenge and as opportunity as well. So we're trying to through this model to enhance this communication and coordination mechanism as well. So beside this understanding of DRR, we also seen that lack of capacities at the local level, having in mind that people at the local level are first responders, and always they are let's say faced with a lot of difficulties when it comes to disaster, without without sufficient support from other partners at the local level, private sector, higher level authorities, etc., etc. So what we try to introduce as a support to our partners here, not only at the local level but also at the higher level of authorities, is this communication or coordination mechanism throughout 10 local communities, but also linking them with the entity ministries, civil protection directorates, and of course the Ministry of Security at the state level. So this is something that we're trying to introduce through the first phase of the program. I forgot to say that this program should last not only through the first phase, or let's say 4 years, but this is something that is planned to last for much longer, around 10 years. So we have in mind the difficulties and challenges that are at the higher level authorities.
Okay. Well, given that some of the local communities in which UN is implementing the project you are talking about are also the members of UNDRR Making City Resilience 2030 initiative, where certain steps have already been taken, such as finalization of disaster resilience scorecards for cities and public health scorecards addendum. How can these activities contribute and how they can complement to each other for further effort in resilience building in local community? What is your opinion?
Yes, I know. I have information about the actions that UNDRR office are working here in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm glad to be a part of it in a way, let's say. If I may add to this result as a part of our intervention here, I believe these scorecards are important tool when it comes to risk assessments in all local communities. Why is that? Because the obligation of our partners or professionals here is to update their risk assessment annually. So having in mind our experience here working with the different sectors, with the different kind of data here, integrating this data into consolidated risk assessments, I believe that scorecards and the intervention of UNDRR in general in Bosnia and Herzegovina, especially some municipalities that we are working as well, are good because they can make decisions. They can make informed decisions about future preparedness and future measures when it comes to DRR. It is still something that should be discussed at the local level, but also with the higher level, authorities level. But I believe that established DRR platforms at the local communities are a sufficient platform to discuss these kind of data. And I can assure you that these data that they have been developing and they have been collecting when it comes to their local community, they could use it in terms of mainstreaming, concrete actions when it comes to DRR into next period. What is also crucial to mention here is that all of our actions here as a UN, as well UNDRR in Bosnia and Herzegovina, will be seen through local development strategies, I believe, even at the end of this year. But this is something that we will develop next year more, and we will see we'll see the perception of not only the people who worked on developing risk assessments and priorities for their communities, but also we will see the perception and decision making from mayors and from national or local assemblies when it comes to investing into these concrete measures and priorities to deal with the DRR in general.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope that you will successfully continue your program in the future, and thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity. See you soon.
there.